Imagine building an offshore wind turbine like IKEA furniture. Flat-packed sections, smaller ports, fewer cranes, and local parts. It sounds impossible at this scale. Yet Swedish company SeaTwirl believes it could unlock powerful deep ocean winds. Offshore energy is won by machines that survive storms, run for decades, and repay investment. Can SeaTwirl's vertical axis turbine change offshore wind? Or is the label moving faster than the evidence? Most offshore turbines use 3 blades spinning around a horizontal axis and stand on foundations fixed to the seabed. That works best in shallower water. Beyond roughly 60 meters, fixed foundations become difficult and expensive. Enormous wind resources lie farther offshore, where winds can be stronger and steadier. Floating turbines can reach them on buoyant platforms held by moorings. But the rotor, platform, cable, wind, waves, and currents all move together. Heavy equipment high above the sea increases forces below, while repairs require costly vessels and safe weather. SeaTwirl tries to redesign the machine around that problem. SeaTwirl uses blades rotating around an upright axis. The rotor and a long spar-shaped foundation form one rotating structure. A generator housing sits just above the waterline and connects to the mooring system. This puts heavy equipment closer to sea level and lowers the center of gravity. SeaTwirl says the foundation can be slimmer, use less steel, and be easier to fabricate. The IKEA comparison comes from a newer 2-bladed design. Because the main structure is largely two-dimensional, SeaTwirl says sections could be made in different places, transported efficiently, and assembled horizontally on land. That could reduce dependence on deep water yards, huge cranes, and specialized vessels. The turbine could then be launched, raised, towed offshore, anchored, and connected to a cable. The breakthrough could be a chain of savings across steel, ports, installation, and maintenance. Conventional turbines place major components high above water, making replacement costly and weather-dependent. SeaTwirl places serviceable equipment near the surface, where smaller local vessels may reach it. A vertical axis rotor needs no active yaw system, and SeaTwirl's stall-regulated design avoids the same active pitch arrangement used by most modern horizontal axis machines. The drivetrain uses several standard components instead of one huge custom unit. In theory, the turbine could continue at reduced power after some failures, while smaller parts may be easier to replace. These advantages need commercial proof. Saltwater, wave motion, extreme gusts, and millions of load cycles can expose weaknesses that simulations miss. SeaTwirl's strongest evidence is the S1 prototype. The 30-kilowatt turbine was deployed off Lysekil, Sweden, in July 2015, connected to the grid, and used for long-term testing. The company says it survived harsh weather and hurricane-force winds. Many floating wind ideas never leave models. S1 showed that SeaTwirl's integrated rotor and spar system can float, rotate, generate power, and operate in a real marine environment. But a 30-kilowatt prototype is not a commercial turbine. Scaling increases structural loads, fatigue, cable forces, manufacturing tolerances, and financial risk. The S2X is listed as a 1-megawatt machine under development, with installation planned at Norway's Marine Energy Test Center, where permits have been secured. SeaTwirl also lists smaller S1.5 units and an S3 concept rated at 4 to 6 megawatts. A separate EU-backed program called Vertigo began in October 2025. 11 partners secured 15 million euros from Horizon Europe to demonstrate a 2-megawatt SeaTwirl turbine. Design work is expected through late 2026, with construction, installation, and operation planned through 2029. SeaTwirl is technical coordinator, Bureau Veritas is a partner, and DNV advises. That funding supports serious research, not proven commercial success. As of mid-2026, SeaTwirl is moving from a small prototype toward larger demonstrations. Vertical axis turbines face specific challenges. As each blade turns, its angle to the wind changes, creating fluctuating forces, dynamic stall, vibration, and fatigue. At sea, those loads combine with waves and platform motion. Engineers must prove that blades, bearings, the spar, and moorings can last for decades. The power cable is another test. A floating machine moves, but its cable must carry electricity safely to the seabed and shore. SeaTwirl's rotating structure also needs a durable way to transfer power to a stationary export system. Certification must cover storms, emergency shutdowns, corrosion, marine growth, collisions, and serious failures. Flat pack assembly must also remain accurate and repeatable. A design may save steel but lose money through complex construction. The entire system must work. Floating wind has huge potential, but costs remain high. Interest rates increase financing expenses. Inflation affects steel, cables, labor, and vessels. Suitable ports and specialist ships remain limited. Permits and grid connections can take years. Projects must also share ocean space with fishing, shipping, defense, tourism, and ecosystems. A 2026 Global Wind Energy Council outlook projected global offshore wind capacity could reach about 420 gigawatts by the end of 2035. But growth does not guarantee that every design will win. Developers need certified performance, reliable suppliers, predictable maintenance, insurance, and bankable economics. SeaTwirl's opportunity is to attack several bottlenecks together. Less steel could lower material costs. Horizontal assembly could make more ports usable. Smaller vessels could reduce installation and service expenses. Modular sections could support local manufacturing. A purpose-built floating turbine may also avoid placing a land-derived machine on a separate platform. The caution is simple. Independent commercial-scale operating data remains sparse. Most cost advantages are company estimates or engineering targets, not results from an operating wind farm. The fair conclusion is neither that SeaTwirl will transform offshore energy, nor that it cannot. The concept passed a first test, while the decisive tests remain ahead. SeaTwirl must prove repeatable manufacturing, safe assembly, reliable tow-out, stable operation, manageable fatigue, practical maintenance, and competitive lifetime costs. Ports, suppliers, insurers, regulators, grid operators, and customers must trust the same system. If Vertigo performs as planned, the next challenge will be scaling production, not just turbine size. IKEA did not reinvent furniture. It changed packaging, transport, assembly, and distribution. SeaTwirl is trying to apply that logic to floating wind. The ocean holds immense energy, but reaching it requires machines that are buildable, repairable, financeable, and repeatable. SeaTwirl may offer a new route into deep water. Or testing may reveal why conventional three-bladed turbines became dominant. Either way, the next few years should deliver evidence instead of promises. So, could an IKEA-style turbine change offshore energy? Yes, but only if flat-pack simplicity survives full-scale ocean reality. The prototype is real, the funding is real, and the hardest engineering stage is beginning now. Subscribe for more documentaries that separate clean energy breakthroughs from marketing hype. And tell us in the comments, would you trust a floating vertical axis turbine far offshore, or will the traditional three-bladed design stay on top?